Okay, so I'm going to be doing this woven wheel stitch. The first thing I'm doing is I drew a little 5-pointed star, and I'm just going to be doing some straight stitches at the beginning, which will anchor my woven wheel. And the trick with this one is to make sure that however many points you have are an odd number. So in this case, it's 5, but you could do 7, 3. Usually what I see is 5 though. Okay, now that I've gone everywhere, I've made this little star. Because that was my last stitch, I'm just gonna come over here so that I don't pop that one out and pull through. And then what we're gonna do is just weave through these pieces. So I went under that one, so I'll be going over this one, and then under this one. So my stitches before were the only thing that's actually going through the fabric. I'm gonna go on top and then under this. All of my work is really being done on the top of the fabric. Let's see, so now we go over that one and under this one. It's nice because if you forget to keep track, you just kind of look of what's in front of you. Oops, what's below on the last stitch, and then you can kind of make sense of it. So this one is a bit cumbersome, which is why maybe you'll see why I ended up doing those stitches a little shorter at first, because the length of these lines or these stitches is how big your woven wheel will end up being at the end. So this is just going to be a little mini one. I also try to always make sure I start with a new needle and thread when I do this one, because this one is a little tricky if you run out of thread in the middle, to switch it up. I mean, it's possible, but to knot off in the middle of a weaving can be tricky. Okay, so now that I'm getting close to the end, you'll see that each of these stitches is a little bit of a different length. So that's where you'll want to just keep going until it's real puffy, because even though this one is a bit longer than the rest, if I just keep going, then it will get so puffy that you won't even see my stitches. And as I go, I'm pulling this taut just a bit, not too tight, but enough that it's not going to be loose. So you can see it kind of looks like a ranunculus flower once it starts getting real tall. And it adds a lot of nice texture to your hoop. Oh, I keep hitting my camera stand because I have it quite close so you can see the details. Let's see, I don't know if that one got quite through the stitch. So this one I've totally covered up that stitch, but some of these other stitches aren't quite covered up, so that's why I'm still going to keep going. If you end up going, if your stitches end up being like very different lengths, sometimes I like to turn this flower into an actual flower, and then I will just use this as the center bud, and so I'll use these lines as a guide to fill in like a straight stitch to do little petals instead. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So now to finish, you're just gonna do a little tiny anchoring stitch in one of your last pulls, And then you will just go ahead, twist your hoop, and do a knot behind. So I'm gonna go through one of these previous stitches and put my needle through just a little knot, trim it off. Let's see, and there it is. Isn't it cute? It'll look cuter without those lines.